This was good.
And I think we're there. Hey, family.
Hi. Thank you for joining us. We know some of you will take a little bit. And we're welcoming for the first time on
This
Overtime.
This is what we look like, guys.
How do you like it?
I don't know how loud to be. Do I talk normal? Do I scream?
No,
I'm
I think
kind of
you
a
can
loud
talk
talker.
normal.
Your normal is a scream.
Wow, in a good way.
Yeah.
That's what we love about
I am
you.
very loud. That is
Yeah.
one of my main qualities.
We love that about
Loud.
you. So, which one resonated with you guys more? To me, I like the one about the spouses. There were some great tips there
Yeah.
that was shared.
Yeah, there definitely were. It was fun to hear. One of the things I love that this show does in general is like hearing from people of all ages and ranges.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So kind of hearing from that friend who said he will be getting engaged soon, and he was kind of talking about what this looks like in his life. And then we were getting a text. You know, I remember seeing one coming in from Margie who said that she's been married like 40 years.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah.
I hear from people in all areas with that.
So during the show, we asked, how did you get your spouse to open up more to you? And we had some great ways that I'll definitely go home and apply. I love, one of my favorites, Hannah, was the one you said about don't talk about issues after 8 p.m. That is like
Not a good
brilliant.
idea.
Oh, and so now we're asking you as you tune in, what kept you from opening up to your spouse? I think if we kind of flip it around and look at ways that keeps us from opening up, it can also give us some insight on how to better connect to our spouses. Misty says, my other favorite morning person, Hannah. Good morning, Misty.
Hey, girl.
You join us all the time for Overtime. That is awesome. We see you guys. We see the ones that joined. Say hello. Let us know where you're at.
Yeah.
Where are you tuning in from? So has there been ways that you've said, oh, this has kept me from opening up, whether it's a spouse or a friend? Because I know you said a lot of these things transcend.
You know, something that is kind of interesting is I think that for me, a lot of that had more to do with me than it actually had to do with Caleb on why I didn't open up.
Oh, wow.
So I can remember early in our marriage and when we were dating, Caleb would say like, so what do you think about that? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, no, really, like, how are you feeling about this? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I almost wasn't self-reflective enough myself to be able to, like, communicate that.
Yeah.
And I think for a while, it put a little bit of a, like a hold on our relationship growth.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't even, like, honest and processing myself. It just came from growth because Caleb and I started dating when I was 17. So I was a kid.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
just,
Wow.
I think the beginning of our relationship, sometimes I, like, stalled out as a 17-year-old maturity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was like, okay, I really need to think about how I think about these big life things or what this means for us.
Right.
And actually, like, talk about it and think about it myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Hi, Angela. Good morning. We love you too. Hi, Milagros and Yvonne. You're always tuning in. She's in Painesville. Bright and sunny day. Yes, I am ready to get out there. Mm-hmm. For me, in terms of what stopped me from opening up as a stay-at-home mom, and my husband learned this and got it down, but when he would come in and express frustrations either about the house or about the kids, it's like my guard is up and I'm defensive. And I know that's sinful. That's a lot of my flesh. But what he's learned is to ask.
I would, like, bite Caleb's head off.
Oh, my God.
I'm like, oh, really? You don't think this is clean?
Yeah. Because you're with the children all day long. You're tired. And the last thing I want to hear, I'm already hard on myself.
Yeah, I don't need that.
I don't need you. So what he's learned is to affirm me first. Find something. You change their diaper. Say something that I did right. Then it kind of opens me up to anything else you have to say after. So my encouragement to especially young dads is please don't walk in and look at the dirty dishes and mention that first thing.
Yeah. And honestly, if you notice there's dirty dishes, what's to prevent you from walking over to the sink and taking care of them?
Hey.
Right?
That'll open my up conversation real quick.
Hello. Good morning, Krista. Krista says, something that kept me from opening up when I was married was his lack of interest and validation. Good morning, Joe. What do you guys think about that? Lack of interest and validation. What would make you feel like he's expressing interest and validation?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in my marriage, that is shown a few ways. I think one is I have like the bomb.com husband, and he is like, he is so engaging and like cares about so many people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're with Caleb, like he like really looks at you and like wants to hear from you. But something that is what you're talking about, like not feeling like, what word did you say? Like
Validated
validation,
and a lack of interest.
a lack of interest is sometimes I feel like, am I getting a genuine Caleb who is like actually really interested in what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Or am I getting like the polite guy who does this at work and knows how to sit down with anyone and be like, yes, tell me, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes that lack of interest, like he's looking like he's doing all the right things, but is he actually like interested in caring about me and not just being like the great, you know, conversationalist who does this for a job and then comes home and does it with me? So I think like really trying to break that down and like, no, really, look me in the eye. Like, laugh with me a little. Just like kind of having that, I don't know, conversation is important.
Yeah, that's good. We're asking you what has kept you from opening up to your spouse. And Yvonne's, or Krista said, what kept her is his lack of interest and validation. It kept her from opening up. Margie, good morning, Margie. Margie says, Ron, hello. Yes, on those dishes. That made her laugh. That made her laugh.
It's so simple that I don't know why we don't get that earlier. Men, we're focused on ourselves, and we're selfish that way. We come in and we think, I've been working all day. Well, a lot of us aren't working like digging ditches and putting a roof on a house or something physical. If you're sitting in an office all day where the most exercise you got is walking to the coffee machine and then walking to the bathroom, you've got plenty of energy to wash dishes.
Yeah.
And depending on your wife, you probably, she's not been out getting a massage and getting a mani-pedi and doing all that stuff. She's been working too.
Right.
So there's no reason why you should come home and relax when she's still got work to do.
Yeah.
Man. Ron's hitting it.
Yeah, I'm going to have my sons call him when they get married. Call Ron. He got some tips for you. So we're asking you, what has kept you from opening up to your spouse? I shared how, you know, when my husband early on in the first few years was critical coming into the house, it made me get defensive and not really listen to his concerns like I should. Hannah has shared some. Krista shared his lack of interest and validation has kept her from opening up. Ron, what are ways as a husband that you have found to communicate interest and validation to Dana?
It starts with listening. And believe me, I didn't get this in year 1 through 20 probably, but eventually it finally got through. And listening to her, and she has things that she's telling me, and if I'm not paying attention, they just go right over my head.
Yeah.
So like, pause the TV, turn it off if you need to, maybe move to a different setting where you're not distracted, and let her know you're really listening, and then do really listen.
Right.
Pay attention to the points she makes. If she's asking you to do something, make sure it's on your list, and for me that means a physical, you know, a Post-it note or something, because if I put it on a to-do list in my head, I'm going to walk in the other room and it's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I love your points, and it also, we say as a husband, but it applies to a wife. I know, I still do it now with older kids, but when I had babies, like reminding myself, you know what? My husband's home. The baby can go play on his or her own so that I can listen to him in terms of how his day went. So I think we can all apply the whole listen to them and show interest. Misty says, my husband is the more introverted one, so I'm listening him very much. I need to find ways to help him open up. And it just shows, no matter where you are in marriage, there are always ways. Just being having a teachable spirit about better connecting and better getting to know your spouse. Any final thoughts before we go?
Yeah, I think, one of the things we mentioned on air was that this can apply for all relationships. And I think kind of hearing this conversation today, I'm even thinking, like a friend that I'm seeing tonight, I'm like, man, how can I do this even better in my friendships? You know what I mean? It's just it's encouraging and challenging on what that looks like in all relationships.
Yeah, yeah. I love the pause.
Yeah.
Do like Leon in Mayfield Heights, and he said the importance of the pause and being patient, and instead of even with friends, when my friends say something, not being quick to come in with my own thoughts, really pausing and listening.
Yeah.
Final thoughts before we go?
That was the one that really hit me too.
Yeah.
I can remember a friend of mine that used to, like, we would be talking and she would be carrying the conversation. And she didn't want that, so she would intentionally just sit there silently. And the silence is a vacuum you want to fill.
Yeah.
And I'm
yeah.
feeling like, okay, maybe I should say something.
Yeah.
And she brought that out of me because I'm an introvert and naturally I'd rather just let her talk.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for hanging out with us on Overtime. Share it because it's still on the Brian and Janelle. The video is, and then look down because we have the articles that we discussed today. They're still there for you to read and share. So thank you for hanging.
Thanks, guys.